Hello.
Would you come down, please?
All right.
Thank you. All right, we're back in the appearances as before, and the jury is coming down.
Yes.
They are?
We're going to wait to see if the jurors name them first before we hand them out, and then we'll hand them out. I'm not handing out the headphones until the jurors. Do you want to ask if anybody needs it? Nobody needs any? Everybody's good?
We have two more. Question, you know how veterans
I beg your pardon?
are going to be here on Veterans Day?
Are we going to be on Veterans Day? And the answer is yes.
Yes, be here on Veterans Day.
It used to be a county holiday years ago, and the building was closed, but they traded it for the day after Thanksgiving.
Well, I just.
So they.
Everybody needs that?
All right, good morning, everyone. We'll continue now with the state's presentation of its case, and Mr. Muir. You're still on roll, sir.
Good morning, Mr. Washington.
Good morning.
We're going to continue with your testimony this morning. Where we left off yesterday was we were watching portions of your Facebook live stream from the night of August 25th, 2020. I have the video now back up on the screen, and I'm going to play a portion of the video that begins at the 45-minute and 55-second mark. So if we could continue at that mark, please. Thank you.
John Roosevelt. Yeah. Yo, what's going on, bro?
Man,
Yeah. Oh, shoot.
on the skateboard.
Yeah, bro. Out here,
What's going on, bro?
yeah, I know, man. How you been, bro? You good out here?
Doing good, bro.
That's what's up, man.
Water and everything. You need some water?
Yeah, no, I'm good. I got some stuff in the bag.
I'm going to pause for a second there. And Mr. Washington, we just saw an individual walk through the video carrying a skateboard. Did you see that person?
Could you replay it for me?
Yeah, could we rewind about 10 seconds, please? He'll be coming in from the left.
Yeah. Yo, what's going on, bro?
Man,
Yeah. Oh,
on the
shoot.
skateboard.
Yeah, bro. Out here,
What's going on, bro?
yeah, I know, man. How you been, bro? You good out here?
Doing good, bro.
That's what's up, man.
Water and everything. You need some water?
Yeah, no, I'm good. I got some stuff in the bag.
There's an individual in the middle of the screen carrying a skateboard with blue jeans and a hoodie and a backpack. Do you see that individual?
Yes.
Do you have any idea who that is?
No.
Okay. I don't think there's going to be an objection. I'm going to represent that that's Anthony Huber.
No objection.
Okay. So just for the jury's edification, that is Anthony Huber. And while we're paused here for a second, Mr. Huber has a skateboard. On that particular night, did you have a skateboard?
Yes.
Do you routinely ride around on a skateboard?
Yes.
So on that night, were you using that as kind of your way to get around the downtown areas you're filming?
Yes.
Okay. Now, when you're filming this video, were you holding the skateboard, or was it just on the ground?
At this point, I was more than likely holding it.
Okay. Thank you. Please continue.
Yeah, it's just minutes. Sorry. Whatever.
I'm going to have you pause again because there's an individual, if we could back up about 10 seconds, there's an individual who comes walking into the screen again from the left. He's got shorts on, a t-shirt, a hat, and a backpack, orange backpack.
Yeah, it's just minutes. Sorry.
There's an individual there on the left-hand side of the screen with a dark shirt, lighter shorts, and an orange backpack, and a hat on. Do you see that individual?
Yes.
Do you know who that is?
No.
Okay. I'll represent with no dispute that that is Gage Grosskreutz. Thank you.
Whatever. I guys, sorry, I said it was wrong.
Very. It's all good, bro. I needed a meme for my video. I appreciate it. Corey. Corey? Nice to meet you, Robbie.
Thanks for updating me on some sports. I haven't watched any sports.
Oh, shit.
Come back.
That was close.
We just heard a couple of loud sounds of some sort, and then you clearly reacted to it. Can you tell the jury what that was, if you know?
I think it was a rock or something. Someone threw something.
Okay. It appears you're standing under kind of an awning over the gas pumps. Is that right?
Yes.
Were people throwing things that sometimes would land on the roof, make sort of a loud bang noise, that sort of thing?
Yeah.
Okay. We also saw some individuals out in the road with a blue umbrella that they were kind of pushing towards the police. Did you see that?
Yes, I said.
Did you at any point observe any reaction from the police to that?
No.
Okay. Thank you. Please continue. Can we just, I don't know if we missed anything there. Can we just go back about 10 seconds to make sure, not that far. That's, right there is fine. Thank you.
That was close. turned around. Got some fire extinguishers. Yo. I heard Pizza Hut is on fire on Roosevelt. Yeah. Yeah, that's people said it a few times in the chat. Yeah. Pizza Hut. People are saying Pizza Hut. Yeah, you too, man. On Roosevelt. So kind of a little ways away. Not a far car drive, but motorcycle group with backpacks setting fires. Dudes on motorcycles with backpacks starting fires, people are saying. It's true. Well, the fastest route would probably be, I guess, 63rd. Yo, what's up, Kabilly? What's happening, bro? I don't know what the Savage Diary is, but if they're stealing my stream, tell them that I said it's not okay. I don't know. Tell them to write me a check for my services. And like, I don't know, someone send me a link of their stuff too so I can verify this. All my content is copyrighted though, so, I mean, it would be super frivolous to have to sue somebody for stealing content of an event that they could have just asked me for and I would have allowed. Thank you.
I'm going to represent to the jury that right in the middle of the screen there is Gage Grosskreutz. No dispute about that. That is Gage Grosskreutz there in the middle of the screen. All right, please continue.
Allowed them to use it, so. So we are in position there. It looks like that fire might have been put out.
Mr. Washington, you just made a reference to, looks like a fire might have been put out. Can you tell us what you were talking about?
Yeah, so earlier in the evening, after everyone was stationed at the Ultimate gas station there at the corner of Sheridan and 60th, randomly there appeared to be a fire just a few, like down the block, headed westward. So I skated down there with a buddy of mine, and there was a few other people that came, I believe, with fire extinguishers. We went to just check it out to see if maybe people were, sneaking off to go burn buildings and were getting away from, the big crowd or whatnot. When we get there, it appeared that, as soon as we got there, maybe moments after we arrived, the police arrived on the scene. I'm not sure exactly what happened, but I believe there was like a tire fire set by like the owner of the shop or something there, or something like that. I'm not too sure if that's exactly what it was. That's just what I heard happened. That's what it appeared to be. So,
Your Honor, may I approach and set up the easel?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Mr. Washington, I have the map up again, and you've got the laser pointer in front of you. Could you, if you can point it out or not, I don't know, but you were describing some sort of fire at some location. Is that location shown on that map? Okay, so you're pointing at a lot that is on 60th Street on the north side, which is at the far left side of that map. And if my street identification is correct, I think that's 11th Avenue and 60th. Is that right?
you are correct.
Okay, so that would be on the northwest corner of 11th Avenue and 60th. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, and is that some sort of used car lot or something along those lines? Do you know?
Yeah, something of that nature.
Okay. And you said that at one point you observed a fire at that location?
Yes, it was a fairly large fire.
But it appeared to be tires that were on fire?
Yeah, something like that.
Okay. And then the police, when you were there on scene, somebody came and was responding to it?
Yeah, there was a fairly large response, I would say. I believe they were in the MRAP or the Bearcat, one of the two, and there was maybe a dozen officers with riot gear and stuff. They kind of pushed us back and told us to go, so we just turned around and went back by the Ultimate gas station.
And when you talk about an MRAP or a Bearcat, you're talking about one of those large armored vehicles that some law enforcement agencies use.
Correct.
On this night. Okay, thank you. Can we please continue? Oh, wait, hold on, one more question. You mentioned that you were seeing some things in the comments about things going on in Kenosha. Can you help us explain what you're talking about there?
Yeah, like I mentioned yesterday, I always kind of look to the chat to see if there's other things going on, to see if there's, if there's not a lot going on in an area and there's a bunch of other streamers and I get a tip or something, typically I'd go to another location to see what's going on over there, to see if there's, anything that needs to be covered or whatnot. So
there was some reference you made to a Pizza Hut on Roosevelt that was on fire.
Correct.
Do you know anything more about that?
I believe that was just a false rumor.
Okay. Is it fair to say that on this particular night and in this time period that there were a lot of rumors going around, some true, some not, about what was going on in Kenosha?
Yes, yeah, there's plenty of disinformation going around, especially, on the internet. So
It'd be the first time that's ever happened, right?
Right.
All right. Please continue. Thank you.
Put out a fire at Ruther. Ruther was out there. People go there to learn.
Fire chief flew by your place heading down Roosevelt? Okay.
You guys stay safe. One down there. Stay safe. No, they took care of it. You guys have a good one.
There is a individual in the middle of this photograph that is holding a long rifle. He's got a baseball cap on. Do you see that individual?
Yes.
Do you have any idea who that is?
No.
Okay. I'm going to represent, I don't think there'll be any dispute about this, that is an individual by the name of Ryan Balch. Please continue.
There's fireworks on the way down there.
I don't know what that is.
Could you rewind that 10 seconds, please? There's going to be someone who's going to be running through the screen. That is the defendant. Could we play that again?
I don't know.
Can we replay that one more time and try and pause when the defendant's on the screen if possible?
I don't know.
It's hard to catch at the very second, but at any rate, Mr. Washington, we now know. Oh, perfect, excellent. We now know that that is the defendant, Kyle Rittenhouse, running through the screen carrying a fire extinguisher. You would agree with me on that, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Let's continue the video for a few seconds, and then I'm going to have you pause again, please.
It's running too, but let's check it out, right?
I believe I just heard you say in the video, Mr. Washington, something to the effect of, I don't know where he's going to, let's check it out, right? Does
Yes.
that sound roughly what you said?
Yes.
Were you referring to the defendant, Kyle Rittenhouse, at that time?
Yes.
Now, at the moment this video is taken, on the night of Tuesday, August 25th, did you have any idea who Kyle Rittenhouse was?
No.
Had you even taken note of him at all that night, up until this point?
Briefly, kind of. I took a mental note. Just so when I arrived on the scene, I kind of looked at the people that were there and kind of, I don't know, just took a note of the people that were around me, especially, you know, people that are armed, to kind of gauge the crowd and, you know, the environment that I was in. I don't know, he just kind of looked young to me, and he had these gloves on and he was smoking cigarettes and stuff. So I don't know, I kind of was like, he's kind of seemed like an interesting figure, so I just took a mental note of that. It wasn't anything, I wouldn't say malicious. I just, you know, a young person in a situation. Honestly, I would say it was mainly the gloves. I didn't know why he had the gloves on. It kind of stood out. So I was like, all right, let me just kind of remember that, I suppose. So when he ran by, I kind of looked to the side to kind of see if there's, I don't know, someone chasing him or what the situation may be. That's why I said, all right, let's see what's happening.
So what was it that drew your attention to him at this point in the video?
There wasn't much happening at the time. It was fairly calm. You know, you see most of the people are kind of just standing around and stuff like that by this point. So to see someone running, you know, I suppose it could have been anyone that ran by me. I would have been intrigued by it, but remembering kind of, you know, in my head. And he had a fire extinguisher as well, so maybe there's a fire or something happening. Maybe he's going to extinguish a fire or something like that. So again, I wasn't too aware of how close all of these people were that were, I don't know if they were working together. I don't know if everybody, like it was a group of people that were friends, or if it was just miscellaneous people that were working together. So I figured maybe he had some sort of intel or communication with someone or something, and he was going to extinguish a fire, or whatever it may be. So that's why I headed down that way.
Is it fair to say that when we continue the video here, it will show you going in the same direction as the defendant?
Yes.
At any point when you were observing the defendant, when he ran past you and whatnot, did you see anyone else with him?
No.
He was alone?
Not that I recall.
Okay.
And so in heading in the direction, it wasn't really to follow the defendant, it was to see what was happening in that direction.
Okay. And just for the, so we can orient everything geographically, could you use your laser pointer and point out the ultimate gas station, please? And we've established that's at the southeast corner of 60th and Sheridan, and that's where you were during the portions of the video we've been watching this morning.
Yes, yeah, probably about
And
like
then
right
when you
here,
followed the defendant, what direction did you go from there?
headed southbound. So this
you
way.
went directly south on Sheridan?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. Please continue.
I'm not gonna not well.
is a figure on the other side of Sheridan Road there, which I believe would be the east side of, yes, the west side of the road. Is that correct?
Yes.
West side of the road.
Yeah.
That individual, you would agree with me, is the defendant, correct?
I honestly can't really see from here.
There's going to be no dispute for the jury's purposes that that individual there, shown in the center of the screen on the far side of the road, is the defendant, Kyle
Okay.
Rittenhouse.
All right, I see now. It's kind of mixed in with the trees there.
Yeah, good idea. I'm going to just use my pointer to try and illuminate that on the screen so that everybody can see it clearly.
Work on the TV.
We'll work on the TV. We use
Can you-
Mr. Mercian's pointer.
Sure, why not? I've always wanted to. Your Honor, may I approach that TV to do that?
Well, then I can't see it then.
Okay, I'll do it here. Everybody able to see that? Could you rewind 10 seconds, please? No dispute on my guess. I'm going to represent to the jury there's no dispute among the parties. There's an individual on the screen there that appears to be dressed in all black, but the back of his shirt has some white lettering on it. He's wearing a helmet, and that is Richie McGinnis. No dispute? Okay.
No dispute.
I'll just use my sister, what's her name?
Mr. Mercian.
Sister Marcianne's pointer to point that out for everyone. This individual here is Richie McGinnis. And again, just so everybody's clear, we are seeing the defendant here. I'm going to point him out again. This individual here is the defendant, Kyle Rittenhouse.
Further.
Continue for like one more second, please. Keep going. I'm sorry. Keep going a little bit. I'll keep going. I'll tell you.
Yeah, they definitely need it.
No dispute. I'm going to represent to the jury, and there's no dispute from the defense, that there's an individual in the center of the screen. He is not wearing his shirt. He's carrying a bag. He appears to have sort of long blue shorts on. That is Joseph Rosenbaum, and I'll use the pointer to point him out. That is Joseph Rosenbaum.
The trash can to put their garbage out. You blocking the road. So now we're out by further. Something decent. We got a large crowd over there smashing the SUVs.
I want to make sure the jury is able to know where we're at on the map here. So, Mr. Washington, you have traveled down, on this video, we see you skateboarding down Sheridan Road south from the Ultimate gas station at 60th and Sheridan. Is that correct?
Correct.
Where we're at in the video now, which is at timestamp 56:36, We're seeing some bright lights there on the screen. Do you see those?
Yes.
What is that location?
That's the car source.
And where is that located specifically, do you know?
On Sheridan and what is that, 63rd?
Okay. Could you please use your laser pointer to point out on the map where that car source is located? So what we've just seen in that portion of the video, you have skateboarded from the Ultimate Gas at 60th and Sheridan, south down Sheridan Road, and now are approaching the car source at 63rd and Sheridan on the northwest corner of that intersection. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
Okay. Just want to make sure we're all understanding the geography. Please continue. I want to try and point out Mr. Rosenbaum again for the jury. Could you back up a couple seconds, please?
Smashing the SUVs.
Keep going just a little bit, please. I'm going to point out for the jury, no dispute on this, right, guys? Okay. Joseph Rosenbaum is in this picture now, in the video. This is him right here. Please continue. Could we rewind 10 seconds, please? Go ahead. I'm just going to direct their attention on the screen. I would like to, just so the jury knows where to be watching here, I'm going to ask the jurors to pay attention to the area in front of car source here, sort of, you'll see some figures running from right to left here on the screen. I just want to direct your attention to it so you know exactly where to look. Go ahead.
Oh, shit.
I'm going to represent to the jury, I don't think there's any dispute about this. We have just heard the shooting of Joseph Rosenbaum. And we'll go back and go over that in just a second. But Mr. Washington.
There was a first shot, which was not Mr. Rittenhouse's shot.
We'll get to it. Let me finish and I'll go back. Mr. Washington, after you heard the gunshots, what did you do personally?
I skated away to find safety.
Okay. And then eventually returned to kind of check things out afterwards. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I kind of found like a position behind a retaining wall and tried to kind of film from behind the retaining wall.
Okay, fair enough. Can we rewind about 10 seconds, please? Let's go back 10 more just to make sure. Okay, thank you. Can we play that again, please? There's no dispute. We're all on the same page here. I'm going to let the jury know that the gunshot you just heard was fired by a man by the name of Joshua Zeminski. And I'm sure you'll hear a lot more about him later. Let's keep playing. I'll represent to the jury again without dispute that the 4 shots that were just heard are the 4 shots that the defendant, Kyle Rittenhouse, fired at Joseph Rosenbaum. There were several other shots that were just heard then, at least 3, maybe more. Those were not fired by the defendant, Kyle Rittenhouse. Please continue.
Oh shit. We got shots fired, guys. We got shots fired.
I'm going to stop the video there. Mr. Washington, you've already explained what you did afterwards. I just have one final question for you. When you arrived at the 63rd Street car source, and we've seen the video that you recorded, this was a video that you recorded with your phone, correct?
Yes.
Obviously, in addition to that, you're using your own eyes to look at what's going on.
Yes.
What I want to ask you is, did you see any fires at the 63rd Street car source when you were there personally?
Fires?
Yes.
No.
Okay, thank you. I have nothing further. I guess for the record, just to button this all up, I believe that was exhibit number 11, the video of the Corey Elijah live stream. I would move that into evidence.
Which one, I'm sorry?
It's number 11?
Thank you.
Yep.
Any objection? No. Received.
So can I ask you, Mr. Washington, on the night of the 25th, when this all happened, the video that you just showed us, did you receive a curfew ticket?
No.
No? Okay. Were you aware there was a curfew in place?
Yes.
Okay. And you agree you were out past curfew, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So you had described yourself as a social media influencer, is that right?
That's the fairest way to describe what I do, I suppose, yes.
Okay. Do you travel around to video things like you videoed in Kenosha? Like, have you been to Portland and other places like that?
No, I've been to places in Wisconsin like Oshkosh and things like this, but I don't necessarily only film like political situations and stuff. I kind of document all different types of things. Like I was just at a Comic-Con and stuff like that.
And so I just want to make sure I have this right. So on the 23rd, I think you said you were taking a day off.
Yeah, it was Sunday, I was just trying to relax.
And you get a call or a notification that things are going on downtown.
Not downtown. That the shooting of Jacob Blake took place.
Okay. And at some point then, on the evening of the 23rd, you come down like to the courthouse area?
Yes, after, like I described, following the protesters down to the downtown location, yes, area of the courthouse and the public safety building.
And I'm going to show you a couple photographs. You can tell me if you recognize what was going on.
Okay.
I'll just give you.
Printouts. Is that the screen?
So, Mr. Washington, I'm going to show you what has been marked Defense Exhibit 31 and 32. Okay.
All right. Oh, it's this paper.
We got to start with paper.
All right.
Can you just take a look at those and tell me if you recognize?
Yeah, this is a burning garbage truck. These are the old garbage trucks. Those that live in Kenosha, I'm sure most people are from Kenosha that are here. We got new garbage trucks and things of that nature. We got new receptacles and pretty fancy or whatever. So they use the old trucks to kind of make blockades around the courthouse. And so that's what, D32. D31 here is a photo of, it looks, yeah, like a waste truck or something on fire.
And you had mentioned, I think, on your direct that you had observed vehicles like that burning on, was it the 23rd?
Yes.
Okay.
What you like here?
So, Judge, I don't have, our electronics isn't working properly, so I would move these two exhibits, and then if I could just, I'm going to have to show them to the jury with the court's permission.
Is there objection?
What night were these taken?
The 23rd.
Sunday night?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So, Judge, you want me just to hand them to him, or just?
One at a time, so
Okay.
that you get it, you don't have to look at both of them. Just pass one on and look at the next. Yeah, and then you can put, yeah.
And I think that, tell me if this was right, you had mentioned that there had been a large kind of congregation of people out front of the courthouse and by the dinosaur museum?
Yes.
Yes. And there was people talking about damaging.
We're back up.
You can put them up, that'd be great. People were talking about damaging the dinosaur museum, and that kind of was a place that was close to your heart.
Yeah, I mean, a place that I would say it's more of a staple in the community more than a place in my heart. It's not like I frequently visit the dinosaur museum. I just recognize the importance of it.
Okay, and if you can just take a peek at the screen, those are the pictures that I had, 31 and 32 that I had showed you. Is that right?
Yes.
Now, tell me if this is right. You had said that on the night of the 23rd, there started to be people that you saw downtown that you didn't really recognize.
Yes.
So you had, it sounds like you have some influence in the community and you're known in the community. So there were people that you were starting to think were from out of town?
Yes, or at least people that were very suspicious looking.
Can you tell me why they were suspicious looking?
Attire, mainly, kind of with their attire and actions, I suppose. Like I mentioned, I believe yesterday, seeing someone that was in the back of I believe it may have even been the truck that you showed, in the back of the truck, finding debris that, I believe in the video, I may even have video, maybe you have the video of me asking the person what they're doing, why they're in the back of the truck, and they said they're trying to find stuff to break stuff or whatever. So that was kind of one of the first moments, I suppose, where like a major red flag, besides, all the fires that went off.
Would it be fair to say that what we're seeing on the screen there, that's a red flag to you?
Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah. It's a burning garbage truck.
Okay, fair enough. So that's the 23rd. On the 24th, I think you said the 24th is worse than the 23rd. Is that right, in terms of damage to buildings and property?
I believe so. Again, I'm trying to be as transparent and fair to myself, I suppose. There was a lot that went on within like that week or two. I didn't get much sleep, and I'm trying to remember the best of my knowledge, but I haven't reviewed the video to study the video. So to the best of my knowledge, yes.
Were there people, if you remember, on the 23rd, were there people out protecting the businesses, or was it kind of a free-for-all?
So there weren't people that you could, I suppose, identify that were protecting businesses. Possibly, I imagine there were, once people noticed what was going on, but not that I could say that I've verified that
All right, so I'll ask it to you this way. Did you see a lot of people on the 23rd out protecting businesses?
No.
Were there, so then the 24th comes, and you had described the 24th at night becoming opportunistic. Is that fair?
That's what it seemed like.
Okay. And do you have the video? So one of the things that you had mentioned that had happened was you witnessed the Department of Corrections Probation and Parole Office being burned. If I can show you, is that? Is that the Department of Corrections Probation and Parole Office?
Yes. I'm pretty sure it's what it says on the building, right?
Right. I'm not trying to trick you, sir. I just.
Okay.
Okay. And if you. Now that building, if you know, burns to the ground, correct?
Yeah. I know.
And did you see the Car Source? I think you mentioned that that Car Source business, you noticed it that night as well burning.
Yes. I believe I think there's, they have two locations, right? So there's a location closer to the Civic Center Park, and then there's one that's further south. I believe both of them are called the Car Source.
Okay, I'm going to show you Exhibit 34 for a minute.
Okay.
Do you recognize that picture, sir?
Yes.
And if I said that's a picture of fires at the Car Source, would that be fair to you?
Yes.
Okay, so Judge, I would move 34.
Any objection?
When was this
That's
event?
the 24th, correct?
Is there objection?
I just want to clarify what the timing of the event was.
Right.
The Car Source burned on the 24th. The majority of the fires on the Car Source were the 24th, yes?
If this was on the 24th, then yes. If that's when the timestamp from the video is from, I won't dispute that.
Did you see any fires at the Car Source on the 25th? Which was the
Tuesday?
Yeah, the day Mr. Binger asked you if you saw any fires down there. That was his last question, and you said no, right?
You're talking about on Tuesday, the night of the shooting. Did I see any fires?
At Car Source?
No.
Okay. So if I told you that was the Car Source on the 24th, would you have any reason to dispute that?
No.
Okay. So I would move to 34, Judge.
Any objection?
No.
Received.
No, I don't think you guys.
Is that the Car Source that we're talking about?
So that is the Stella. Yeah, so yeah, that's the one across from Ruther.
Okay. So my question to you is this. On the 24th, did you notice more or less people protecting their businesses than the 23rd? Or the same?
I would more possibly, just because people had a general idea of what was going on.
Okay. Were there more businesses boarded up?
On the
24th?
I mean, there were no businesses boarded up on the 23rd. So if there were any businesses boarded up on the 24th, then yes, even if it was one, I imagine.
So 24th, you believe there were more people that were out protecting their property that you noticed?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Were there more people out on the 25th, the night of the shooting, than the 24th?
Protecting their businesses? Or
More-
just in general?
More people out protecting businesses on the 25th.
Yes. There's visibly more people.
All right, and tell me if this is right. On the 25th, more people out protecting businesses, less fires. Agreed? On the 25th.
Yes, if that's the only comparison that we're going to make, yes.
Well, on the 24th, there were more fires
Yeah, right.
and some people out, right?
Right.
And then on the next day, the 25th, you said visibly more people out protecting property and far less fires
Yes, there was also less people as well, though.
on the 25th.
Yes.
Okay. And so you mentioned that Monday, the 24th, starts out peacefully in the day, and then it becomes opportunistic in all the property damage on the 24th, the night of the 24th.
Right. There was organized protests and things during the day. Anything that happened after nightfall was not an organized situation.
Did it appear to you that people were out there having opportunities to just damage property if they could on the 24th?
Yeah, after nightfall, yes.
And so can I ask you, on the 25th, you're back out and you're videotaping or running your live stream once again. And can you bring up the video that Mr. Binger showed at 1822? So down around Car Source, would you say there were visibly more people there to protect that business than the previous 2 days?
Down at the Car Source?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. And
it may have been the owners or something, I'm not sure.
just there were more people protecting their businesses, and I understand you're saying less people were out, but substantially less property damage as it relates to fires that night.
Yes.
So if I could just have you watch this for a second. This is the video, this is your live stream that Attorney Binger had you comment on, okay?
Okay.
So there's, if I can ask you this, so you notice right here that there's a fire that has been started or is going, correct?
Yes, I see that, yes.
See that? Okay. And can you just run it?
It's right downstairs. Oh yeah, that dumpster is about to be lit up.
Stop it. And it appears that people are going over there to put out maybe the fire that's going to be started in the dumpster?
Yeah, there was a lot of back and forth, I would say, where there was like things would happen, then they would get quashed, and then things would happen, and then people would come, and then they would resolve the issue.
Okay.
Yeah.
Were there more on the 25th? Were there more people actively, in your opinion, actively trying to put out or quell the fires once they started?
Yes. Yeah, that's why there's people with fire extinguishers and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you see people with fire extinguishers on the 24th, do you remember?
Possibly, but
Certainly
probably not.
Okay, so probably not on the 24th, but certainly multiple people had fire extinguishers on the 25th.
Yes.
Okay. So you could just play it. So people at that point are putting out the dumpster fire. Right?
Yes, that's what it appears to be.
Were people getting angry when the fires were being put out? Were they voicing objections?
So, I mean, there is, I would say yes, but there was pretty much objections to everything that everyone disagreed on. That's why I believe at one point in the video you hear me say people just need to agree to disagree on all of this stuff, because it's just going to continue to be back and forth.
Okay, but to be fair, if we can be, one of the things that made people angry that night were when fires were put out or quelled, right?
Possibly, yes, maybe. It's hard for me. You want me to explain for other people in a way, and I can't necessarily do that. But I imagine that's would make people upset.
Just in terms of what you saw and heard, though, some of the reactions were, there were things like people said, "Why'd you do that? Why'd you put that out?" Right? You heard that.
I mean, if it's played in the video, then I can hear it. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you play the video?
Yeah, like that guy said, "Why did you do that?" Right there.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
But the context of it, again, to be fair to everyone, I don't know the context in which he said that, but he did say that. Yes.
Okay.
Whoever it was.
Back it up. So that gentleman right there, we agree, is Joseph Rosenbaum?
Yes.
Did you see him becoming angry at that point, moving toward the other people at the Ultimate gas station?
So to be fair, at that point, I wasn't focused on him, to be honest, but to be transparent, everything that I've ever seen of him that was kind of circulated on the internet, he seemed upset. So I'm not going to dispute that, but that's, again, outside influence of my knowledge of him, but it seems like it.
Can I ask you this? Did you, at this gas station, did you hear him scream, "Shoot me, shoot me"? And
I've seen a video of him saying, "Shoot me," saying,
the N-word?
yeah.
Were you there at the time that he said that?
Maybe, probably. I'm not sure. Do you have video of me being there? Because I don't recall, but I definitely saw a video of it. I'm not sure if it was mine or someone else's, but I've seen that.
Okay. Now, you had mentioned that you didn't believe that the dumpsters were being pushed toward the gas station. Is that right?
Yeah. And I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but to me, I felt like they were trying to push them towards the police. That's what I kind of felt, and that's what it appeared to be to me. What that would do, you know.
Fair to say, though, that there are dumpsters being pushed. At least one of them is pushed to kind of like where the driveway of the gas station is, right?
Yeah, they got them from like the gas station parking lot.
And it's reasonable. Well, let me ask you this: do you think it's reasonable that people put out fires that are near gas stations?
Yeah, I think that's reasonable.
Okay. And
I mean,
you had mentioned, or I'll ask you.
Had you finished your answer?
yeah, it's reasonable.
Okay.
That's fine.
Now, Mr. Binger had asked you, at this location, did you see anybody fire a gun? Did you hear anybody fire a gun at anybody? Do you remember that yesterday?
Right, during this scenario, like by the Ultimate gas station, no, I don't recall hearing.
Did you see anyone, to be fair, at that gas station chase anybody else trying to attack them? Did you see that?
No, not that I recall.
Did you see anybody on the ground and another person trying to kick him in the face? Did you see that?
Did I see another person try to kick someone in the face?
Yeah.
No. By the Ultimate gas station, no.
Right. Did you see anybody hit somebody in the face or the neck area with a skateboard at that location?
At the location by the Ultimate gas station, no.
See anybody chasing anybody, pointing a gun at them? See any of that? At the Ultimate gas station?
At the Ultimate gas station, no.
Okay. And you had mentioned that people were throwing rocks, right?
Yeah, you can hear throughout the video. And I mean, throughout the entire, I'd say, several days of things that were going on, there was like the sound of rocks and things being thrown. Kind of was like quiet noise or whatever.
Do you know, now rocks can have different sizes and connotations and things like that.
Yes.
Did you see and have you seen, they were actually taking chunks of concrete and breaking them on the ground and picking up chunks of concrete and throwing those?
Yes, I've seen that, yes.
Okay, so it was, and I'm not saying that you misrepresented anything. There's a difference between maybe a small rock and a chunk of concrete. Is that fair?
Yeah, you can hear throughout the video that there's a difference. You can tell by the velocity of or the sound of the banging that it's different size material that's being thrown.
Can you go to 24 minutes? So if I could just have you watch this, we're going to go to 24 minutes on the tape. You recognize that person right there?
Yeah, that's the defendant, correct?
Yeah, that's Mr. Rittenhouse. Agreed?
Yes.
Okay. Does he, during this time that you saw him, does he appear to be agitated or irritated in any way to you?
Right there, it looks like he's just kind of standing, looking around.
Okay. If he would have been agitated or irritated or threatening in any way, would you have kind of followed him around probably, or no? With the camera to see what he was doing?
Like if he was threatening?
Yeah, if he was acting, I'll ask it to you this way. If he was acting inappropriate, would you have videotaped him?
If he was engaging with someone in an inappropriate way and it was in my radius and I caught it, then I would move to that direction, yeah.
So is it fair to say there's nothing about his behavior at the Ultimate gas station that made you focus on him at all?
At this point, I'm just kind of standing around seeing what's going on because there's not much happening. So yeah, there's no.
So just play it, please. So he's agreeing that he's just kind of walking around like everybody else.
Yeah.
Is that fair?
Yeah.
Okay. You were asked how you got around that night, and you had mentioned that you had gotten around that night on a skateboard.
Yes.
Okay. Do you know what the trucks of a skateboard are?
Yes.
What are they?
They're what you attach the wheels of your skateboard to that attaches them to the board itself.
Okay. So can I ask you this? If you were going to swing that skateboard in an effort to create some velocity and hurt someone, how would you swing it?
If I was going to swing my skateboard to hurt someone? I mean, I suppose it depends on the situation. It's a plank of wood pretty much, so however you favor holding a plank of wood.
Could you grab it? Could you grab it by the trucks and swing it?
You could you could hold it, and you could grab it by anything really. Anything that's on it, you could hold it by. So yes.
But the trucks would let you swing it one-handed, right?
I mean, yes, I suppose, but again, you could hold just the board itself with one hand, depending on the size of your hands. Again, I have fairly large hands. I hold my board with one hand, all different types of ways. But if you have smaller hands, that would probably be the way that you would want to hold it if you were trying to strike someone, I suppose. I'm not an expert at striking people with my skateboard. I kind of just ride it like what it's meant for, so.
I'm just asking your opinion on it, that's all.
Okay.
Now, Can you go to 5547? Mr. Binger showed you That's fine. Just leave it there. So, stop it. As fast as you can. Play it, please. So that's Mr. Rittenhouse walking right there, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, that's, yeah.
So he's not, in your opinion on this, he's not chasing anyone, is he?
No, it looks like he's headed in a direction.
Okay, and he's, is it fair to say that when you observed him, he's walking like you or I would just be walking if we were going somewhere?
That's what it appears to be.
Okay, so he, in your opinion again, he doesn't appear to be hurried or he doesn't appear to be going after someone, correct?
At this moment, it doesn't appear to be that he's rushing any longer, no.
Okay. Can you play it, please? And he's got the fire extinguisher in his hand. Can you see that?
I mean, it looked like he was still holding whatever he was holding when he was holding a fire extinguisher before, so I imagine he did not swap it out for something else.
Okay. Can you just keep playing it? Now, were those people right there started? Was there a fire going right there?
I'm not sure. Can you replay it? Yeah, it looks like there's a little garbage fire there, yes.
Okay.
They definitely need that truck.
Play it.
Put the garbage out.
So now, Mr. Rosenbaum, we agree that's Mr. Rosenbaum? Yep. So now, Mr. Rosenbaum here, can you see? I don't know if you saw, if you remember when I asked you about it at the Ultimate gas station. No longer has his shirt on, correct?
That's what it looks like.
Okay. Does it appear to you, and it wasn't asked by Mr. Binger, but that his shirt's wrapped around his face now, or around his head? Does that appear to be?
It could be around his head or around his like neck area or something like that.
Agree, you can't see that person's face. Is that fair?
Not really, no. Yeah, that's fair.
So the last part of this I want to show you, Mr. Washington, is the actual incident, okay, that you captured.
Okay.
The shooting. I want you to listen. Did you hear, you heard a shot, correct?
Yes, yes.
And then do you hear somebody yell, "Fuck you"?
Yeah, I heard that, yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Then, and do you know who said that?
No.
Okay.
It sounds like a male.
Okay, a male voice yells that.
Yeah.
You hear that. Okay. And we've established that Mr. Zeminski was the one who, do you know who that is? Who fired the first shot?
I heard about that. I'm not sure. I wouldn't be able to point him out, but I heard about that happening, yeah.
Okay. So can I just ask you this, and I don't know, you said that you kind of at least took mental note of
yes.
Mr. Rittenhouse, maybe because of his age, because of the gloves, things like that, right?
Yeah, I mean, I took a mental note of some of people that kind of stood out to me. In my opinion, there's a lot of chatter on the internet and stuff like that, people are saying that people are gonna like randomly kill people. Mainly they said they were gonna be targeting black people or something like that, which is, you can all see I'm a black man, so I took a note of that, so I was like, wanted to know who was around. I didn't necessarily feel like that was true, but you never know what may happen in situations that, you know, clearly, you know, who thought buildings would be set on fire and all of that, so you never know what really might happen. So I took a mental note of people that kind of stood out, like, again, like people that were acting erratic, like I suppose Mr. Rosenbaum, or people, the little things that stood out, like chain smoking with gloves on and stuff, you know?
Okay. So can I ask you this? You described, if I have it right, you described Rosenbaum as acting erratic, right?
From all of the moments that I was around that you can notice, yes.
Okay. Other than smoking with gloves on, anything that Kyle Rittenhouse did that you noticed that was in any way erratic, threatening, use any term you want. Use any term that you want to describe. Anything that was out of the ordinary about his behavior.
The only thing I could say that was, I don't, and maybe it's, to be fair, like, this is just, I suppose, my opinion. He just seemed like he was young and like he didn't know exactly like what was going on. And because he was smoking so much, and he, again, if he didn't have the gloves on, maybe I wouldn't have noticed as much, but I just don't know why, like in the situation, why you would have gloves on. Maybe there's some technical reason or something that you may know, but to me, that's just what stood out to me.
Okay.
Not saying that I felt like, oh, this is a guy that's gonna go around and mow a bunch of people down or anything like that. I just was like, oh, that's interesting. Let me take a note of that. And when he ran by, I was like, oh, I went in my Rolodex in my head, like, oh, I remember this guy from before. Is there anyone chasing him or anything? No, maybe there's something happening down that way. So I just headed in that direction, not necessarily focusing on him per se, but focusing on possibly there's a situation in that direction.
So I don't know if you've answered the question, but the question was about his behavior in terms of what he did. He didn't act erratic to you.
I mean, chain smoking cigarettes is kind of a behavioral thing.
Okay.
So I mean, it's not like you don't necessarily have to engage with people to have mannerisms and things like that.
So the thing that stuck out to you, you described Rosenbaum as erratic, and if this is fair, and Rittenhouse as chain smoking. Yes?
I suppose you could say nervous, I guess, would be a fairer way to say it. He seemed nervous in the situation. But I mean, I suppose a lot of people were nervous. Again, it's not a slight at him, it was just a mental note that I took.
Okay, thank you. Sir, I don't have any other questions for you. Thank you.
All right, let's.
I have one more question, Judge. Sorry.
Okay, go ahead.
So I'm going to ask you, I think, one more question, if I could. Okay. You had said, Mr. Binger had asked you if you noticed any fires at the car source at 63rd and Sheridan that evening.
Yes, and I believe I said no, or I don't recall.
Okay.
Right.
So I'm going to show you this, and you can tell me if you recall this.
No, I do notice there was damage happening,
I didn't
like
ask the
people
question.
smashing cars.
Just hold on a second, okay? Do you remember, now that's car source, right? You're aware of that?
Yes, that's car source.
You'd agree that's a fire inside that truck?
Yeah, that's what that looks like, yep.
So there were fires at car source that night, right?
If this is that night and that's what's happening, then yes, that's what just happened, yes.
All right, very good.
Is this, I don't get to pose a question, but I was just wondering if this is like right before the shooting happened?
Judge, there's no question.
Because if
You
it,
don't have to ask me, I don't think.
We'll, like, right. He asked the questions and you can answer them, and so, but would that change your answer?
the only reason I ask is because if this is right before the shooting, like after I ran as soon as the shooting took place, so I wasn't like zeroed in on what was happening there because there was just a shooting that happened and I was running for my safety, so.
All right, we're going to take a break at this time. Please don't talk about the case during the break. Again, standard rules about not going on the internet, read, watch, or listen to anything, or transmit any message regarding your service on the jury. And I'm going to say about 15 minutes. What are you glaring at me for? They Mr. Washington, would you come back up, please? I assume you have questions? Yes. Yeah, okay. Ready for the jury?
Hello?
Would you come down, please?
Yes.
Thank you. What does that shirt say?
So I got that Warwick County case set for a status by Zoom for the end of the month.
Why is that bouncing around?
Because it's a Warwick County.
All right. Go ahead, Mr. Bingham.
Mr. Washington, I just have a few follow-up questions to the things you testified about earlier. We saw in the video that there were at least one dumpster at one point that was set on fire on the road. Where did that dumpster come from?
I believe the parking lot of the Ultimate gas station. So there's like a commercial building right next to it, and there's like dumpsters that are typically stationed right there.
May I approach, Your Honor?
Did you ask me a question?
I was just asking if I could set this up again. Is that okay? Thank you. Mr. Washington, do you have that laser pointer still? Okay. Could you point on this map to where you believe those dumpsters were originally located before they were pulled out in the street? So you are indicating the Ultimate gas station on the southeast corner of 60th and Sheridan, and you're pointing along what appears to be the south side of that parking lot next to the Boost Mobile and Check and Go building. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So if someone wanted to start a fire in a dumpster and push it towards the gas station, they wouldn't need to pull the dumpster out into the road, would they?
No.
Okay. You indicated that you had a skateboard that night, correct?
Yes, correct.
Did you ever use it as a weapon?
Never.
In your video, it appears there are several other people that had skateboards as well. Is that right?
Yeah.
Did you see a lot of people using skateboards that night to
Yes.
get around?
Yes.
Did you see anyone else using it as a weapon?
No.
Is it fair to say that the folks there that night were primarily using their skateboards like 8-year-old kids do to skate around on?
Yep. Yes.
You were also asked about Mr. Rosenbaum several times, and I want to clarify something because I think there was a little bit of confusion about your perception of Joseph Rosenbaum that night. So let me just ask you, okay? I think you've testified that since that night, you have seen other videos showing Mr. Rosenbaum at various times that night. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
And you would agree with me that in your video, he is seen at various times, including at Ultimate Gas.
Yes.
I know it's hard, but I want you to put yourself back in the mindset of that night when you're taking that video.
Okay.
At that time, did you take any notice of Joseph Rosenbaum?
No. From the video that we have, the moments that I saw him, he appeared to be operating like everyone else, maybe.
Could we go to that timestamp that I indicated? I think it was 56, something like that. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me turn on all the monitors again. I think they're so smart they turn themselves on. What I'd like to do is play the portion of the video that shows you leaving Ultimate Gas heading south on Sheridan Road. So I think that's about where we're at in this video. When we start it, if there's changes that need to be made, I'll let you know. So. Keep going one more second, please. Keep going, sorry. I'm sorry, keep going one more second. It's hard to predict. We've already established that the individual that is shown up here is the defendant, Kyle Rittenhouse. And just off the screen to the right, we saw an individual who's been identified as Richie McGinnis. So I'm just reestablishing that for everybody. Can we continue forward now, please?
Trailer. Definitely need that.
We've already established also that this individual that I'm going to point to is Joseph Rosenbaum. We'll stop there. Would you agree with me, Mr. Washington, that as you pass by the defendant and Joseph Rosenbaum heading south on Sheridan Road, that the sequence of individuals is Mr. Rosenbaum is further south ahead of the defendant, Mr. Rittenhouse?
Correct. Yes.
In this photograph, we see a house in the background. Is that right?
Yes.
Now, if you could take a look at the map that is on the easel there. Would you agree with me that in this video the point of view is you are looking west across Sheridan Road?
Yes.
With the laser pointer, can you show us the block on the west side of Sheridan Road that has houses in it? That is the block between 61st and 62nd Street. Is that correct?
Yes.
So at this point in the video, would you agree with me that you are on the east side of Sheridan Road, heading south, somewhere in that block between 61st and 62nd Street?
Yes.
Final question I have for you is, you were asked about what Mr. Rosenbaum is wearing on his face, and I think you indicated that his face was obscured by the shirt. Is that right?
Yes.
Were you wearing a mask that night?
Yes, yeah, you could tell by my voice. I was muffled the entire night, yeah.
And this was in August of 2020 when there was a lot of COVID going around, correct?
Yes, yeah.
Is it fair to say that a lot of people that night had face coverings?
Yes.
I have nothing further.
Any question?
Just a couple things.
Go ahead.
So, Mr. Washington, in that picture that you see there, you're not asserting that Mr. Rosenbaum is using that as a COVID mask, are you? That he's wearing a shirt over his face as a COVID mask?
I'm going to object, Your Honor. I think that calls for speculation as to what Mr. Rosenbaum's intent was.
You don't know why he's put that he's wrapped his shirt around his face, do you?
No.
Okay. And you were asked by Attorney Binger in terms of the direction that people are heading, that Mr. Rosenbaum is further south than Mr. Rittenhouse in that picture, right?
Yes.
Okay. You'd agree on that video, it doesn't appear that Mr. Rittenhouse is chasing Mr. Rosenbaum, does it?
No, it doesn't.
It appears they, like multiple other people, are simply walking south. Agreed?
Yes.
Okay. Now,
That's not the picture that you were going to have to
okay. Judge, I'm approaching the witness with the court's permission. I'm going to ask if you can just identify that picture. That's D36, is that right?
Yes, D36.
Okay, and can you just tell the jury what that appears to be a picture of?
This appears to be a picture of, what is this, a toppled vehicle? No, that's not. That's a fire by some wood, and there's a dumpster here and people around it.
Okay. And if I could just direct your attention to, there's a person there wearing a blue. Like would you say that's a bandana? Is that fair?
Yeah, that's fair. Blue bandana, sure.
No objection to the idea. So if I told you that we agree that that's Joseph Rosenbaum in that picture, okay? So Joseph Rosenbaum at that point is wearing you agree, a blue bandana over his face.
Yes.
Do you agree with that?
Yep. Yeah.
Judge, I would move 36.
Any objection?
No.
So, Mr. Washington, so this is, that's Mr. Rosenbaum right there, right?
Yes.
Okay. So some people were covering their faces for protection from COVID using those type of bandanas that night, right?
Yes.
Did you see anybody using their shirt to do the same thing?
Possibly, I'm not sure. Maybe, maybe not. Probably not.
Okay.
I mean, there's other than Joseph Rosenbaum. I assume you're implying, right?
Yeah.
No, maybe, yes. Now that I recall.
Okay. Mr. Washington, thank you for your time, sir.
Any question, Mr.?
No.
You may step down, sir.
The state calls Detective Martin Howard.
Stand, please. Raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear the testimony about to give in this matter be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
You may be seated.
Sir, could you state your name and spell your last name for the record?
Martin Howard, Howard,
How are you currently employed?
the City of Kenosha Police Department,
How long have you been so employed?
a little over 10 years.
What is your current assignment?
Second shift detective,
How long have you been a detective with the Kenosha Police Department?
almost 3 years.
And prior to that, were you a patrol officer?
Yes,
On the night of August 25th, 2020, were you working as a detective for the Kenosha Police Department?
yes,
On that particular night, the night of this incident, what was your initial assignment on duty?
We had various duties. We conducted surveillance in unmarked squad cars, watching crowds and making reports on them in the radio. We also did things like go to gas stations and make sure all the pumps were shut off.
Why did you do that?
Because we were receiving reports that there were people filling up gas containers at local gas stations, and to prevent further arson, we made sure that gas stations were not distributing gas.
Was there a certain time of day when you began that process?
Approximately 6 p.m. I know the curfew was at 8 p.m., so we were trying to make sure it was done before that.
When you were doing the activities you just described, were you operating in an unmarked squad car?
Yes.
Was anyone with you?
Yes.
Who was that?
Detective Antaramian?
And that's Detective Ben Antaramian, who's here at council table as well?
Yes.
And other than what you've just previously described, what other duties did you have that night initially?
Another thing we did was take a post out on the interstate, and we had different detectives watching different exits just to provide a little bit of forward information on influxes of crowds coming in and reporting that to command so they could make better decisions.
Was that one of the things you personally did?
Yes.
Do you remember approximately where it was that you went out there to check on the interstate?
I spent time at different exits on I-94.
Did you see anything unusual?
There were some cars coming.
And were they ones that you felt necessary to report on?
Yeah, there were several different times while this was going on that we would make a report of a larger group of cars coming in seemingly together.
Why did that concern you?
Well, if you saw an influx of cars with license plates removed, that was a telltale sign for us that they may not be coming to Kenosha to conduct regular business.
Was there a time that particular night in which any of the off-ramps from the interstate into Kenosha were closed?
Yes.
Do you know approximately when that was?
I believe that started on Monday the 24th.
And do you remember what time of day?
Later on in the afternoon.
Okay. And was that something that was also in effect on Tuesday night?
Yes.
And you indicated the curfew was at 8 p.m. that night?
Yes.
What part of Kenosha did that affect?
The city of Kenosha.
What did that curfew technically mean for citizens of Kenosha?
It meant for everybody to stay home.
Not be out on the streets, driving
Yes.
around, going to the store, walking around,
Yes.
things like that?
Mm-hmm.
What about if you wanted to stay on your own personal property? Was that allowed?
Yes.
What about if you wanted to be on your business property? Would that be allowed?
Yes.
So, in addition to what you've already described, patrolling the exits, gas stations, doing a little bit of surveillance and things, were there any other responsibilities that you had that night before the events that we're going to talk about here started?
Yeah, there were several others. Another thing we would do is we were receiving a lot of reports, 911 calls of different things going on. A lot of these calls were unfounded, but we still, every 911 call we get, we still have to check it out and make sure that things are safe there. So we would respond to locations where incidents were reported to see if something was going on. And if something was going on, we would verify that and do what we could.
Is it fair to say that on this particular Tuesday night, you and most of the rest of the Kenosha Police Department was out there in full response to issues going on in our community?
It depended on the issue.
But it wouldn't be normal for you as a detective to go to gas stations or the interstate exits or things like that?
No, a typical day for me is I'm in the detective bureau conducting follow-up investigations, occasionally going out and talking to witnesses, gathering surveillance footage, that sort of thing, but mainly on a normal day I'm in the detective bureau.
Now, did there come a time in that evening when your assignment changed?
Yes,
When approximately was that?
just before midnight.
And can you tell us more about that?
There was a report of a shooting in the area of 60th and 63rd in Sheridan, and at that time, we initially got a report that there were 4 homicide victims.
And that was a report you personally received?
Yes.
And as a result of that, did your assignment that evening change?
Yes, at approximately 12:30, Detective Vance Ramian and I were assigned to investigate this case.
And since that time, 12:30 a.m. on August 26th, the
Yep.
following morning, have you and Detective Vance Ramian been the primary lead detectives on this case?
Yes.
And can you tell us a little bit about what you have done personally in the course of that investigation?
One of the main things I did was go over the internet and try to find as many videos as I could of this incident. There were a lot of videos on social media, so I do Twitter searches for Kenosha and find videos that contain the incident and save those. There were also Facebook live streams like Mr. Washington's that we just saw. I was able to locate that and save that from Facebook. And there were several other locations that videos were found. Some private citizens came forward with video. We gathered those.
Now, you said that about 12:30 in the morning on the night of August 25th, early morning. Oh, sir.
Apparently the lunch has been delivered early, and some of it's warm, I think, so that I don't know if the jurors want to have warm, soggy, or cool, soggy sandwiches. So let's break a little early for lunch, and please don't talk about the case during the break. Let me ask that you return at about 10 after 12. Is that convenient? Oh man, that doesn't work with my... Well, I'll have to change my plans. So please don't talk about the case, read, watch, or listen to any account of the trial. And okay. I guess I'll have to go another day. Uh, 10 after 12.